Hello and welcome back to my channel. Saturday again, Slimming World and a weigh-in. We're just back from group and we called at Aldi on the way to buy some blueberries. Now most people will already be aware, especially those who go to groups, but I'm going to say this for those who don't go to groups. Blueberries are now deemed to be a speed food by Slimming World with effect from this week. I think it's great. I've always thought they should be. They're not any higher in calories than most other berries and they are really good for you. The one thing that did make me smile, and I will share this with you, Slimming World's reason for making them a speed food is because, and it was officially read out to us in group, they keep an eye on all fruits and veg and can deem whether they should be speed or free. Apparently this year blueberries are less calories than they were last year. I just find that laughable. I'm sorry, that's funny. Do blueberries change? Do we analyse every blueberry to make sure? Is the rest of the world aware of that, or is it just Slimming World? But thank you, Slimming World, for making these little fellas a speed food. It's about time we took them seriously. I'm grateful for that. So for anybody who doesn't go to group, please write it in your book, put an S next to blueberries, they're speed now. I'll tell you one other little quick thing, and this quite amused me. Somebody put a comment on my vlog last week saying it would be nice if sometime Joe or I did a recipe. We tend to do plain food. We like dinners that are meat and sweet potatoes or potatoes and several veg. We don't do a lot of chopping onions and mixing in chopped tomatoes. It's not the way we eat. But on the day that the lady actually put up that comment, I laughingly said to Joe, you could vlog your lunch today, because the way he eats, a lot of it fits in with Slimming World, and apart from a lot of his condiments and things. On that particular day he was eating partridge. How many Slimming Worlders have partridge this week? Not me. And I said to him jokingly, do you know there's an awful lot of partridge around at the moment? It must be because they've all vacated the pear trees after Christmas. But yeah, Joe eats a really healthy diet. And he does eat a lot of food that would be conducive with Slimming World. We won't be doing cooking recipes on our channel. It's not our thing. And I mean, when I look at some of the things you've had this week with your venison minute steaks and your wild boar and your whatever.
Partridge and Slimming World sausages.
Partridge, Slimming World sausages he likes.
I love Slimming World sausages.
Slimming World vegetable quarter pounders you like.
Yeah, they're good.
And I like those. I was really pleasantly surprised by those. Oh, and your chicken livers, they go down well. So it's not spag bol and chilli and Slimming World chips. It's very much plain old-fashioned meat, potatoes and 3 or 4
Yeah,
veg.
just trying to appreciate what the food is for what it is. Like,
yeah, we don't do too much in the way of... we use the slow cooker occasionally. We'll cook a piece of gammon and things like that, but we don't cook it in Coca-Cola, we cook it in water. Anyway, we're quite plain around food, aren't we? We know what we like, and we like variety. And it was just amusing that day, you know, the thought of Joe doing a recipe with his partridge. Last weekend I chose to have the Slimming World. We don't do ready meals, we don't usually have ready meals in the house. But last weekend I was tempted to try the new Slimming World beef lasagna. And I have to say I gave it 7 out of 10. I've had it twice because I bought 2, preferred it done in the oven. Too sloppy, done in the microwave. I also tried the vegetarian one, and I love vegetarian food. I often choose vegetarian food over meat, but that went in the bin. Not nice. Not for me. Spoke to a lady in group this morning who is a vegetarian. She absolutely loved it. I don't think that these suffer from a lack of cheese, really. If you're not expecting the cheesy flavour, I think they've actually, Slimming World have really done well with the cork. It works. I wouldn't go so far as to say run out and rush and buy them, but I would say if you're going to buy them, up until I think it's the 21st, you can get 2 for a £5. And as these are £3.50 each, not £3, 2 for a £5 is a good deal. You save a couple of quid. So, but because I had that, and we were in Sainsbury's, Joe decided to try a free from, I think it's Kirsty's.
Kirsty's, yeah.
Say what it is.
Classic beef lasagna.
Free from. So this is gluten free. It's also totally dairy free. When I say dairy free, I don't mean lactose free. Lactose free and dairy free are 2 different things. This is dairy free. A lot of people have a problem with lactose, and they need lactase to actually be able to digest lactose. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe has a problem with dairy. He has to be dairy free. So that means all milk products, cheese, milk, yogurts, quark, everything. This is made with soya milk. Now, what Joe was interested in was the calorie values of these two meals, and they're each individual one portion meals. Can you explain what you thought was odd or strange?
Right, okay, I'll compare them per 100 grams. So per 100 grams, the Kirsty's is 88 calories. The Slimming World one is 102 calories. There's 2.1 grams of fat per 100 grams in Kirsty's and 2.1 in Slimming World, so they're the same, right? The carbohydrates in the Kirsty's is 9.4. The carbohydrate is 10.7 in Slimming World.
So they've got higher carbs in Slimming World.
Yeah, 1.1 grams of sugar in Kirsty's, 1.6 grams of sugar in Slimming World.
So more sugar in Slimming World.
2 grams of fibre in Kirsty's, 1.7 grams in Slimming World.
More fibre in Kirsty's, which is what we need.
6.8 grams of protein in Kirsty's and 9.3 in Slimming World.
Protein's good, so Slimming World do better on that one.
Yeah. And then the salt is the same at 0.4. So out of the two, Kirsty's actually looks like a better Slimming World meal than the Slimming World lasagna does.
Which is what Joe thought. And the thing that struck me is they're both individual one portion meals. If I ate the Kirsty's one, how many calories would that have been?
The 400 gram pack is 352.
If I ate the 550 gram pack of Slimming World, how many calories would that have been?
560?
So 200 more calories in a meal, a Slimming World meal that is deemed to be free. How many syns for the Kirsty's meal, Joe?
5.5.
So I can use no syns, no healthy extras, and have a Slimming World meal at 560 calories. Or I can use no healthy extras, 5.5 syns, and have a Kirsty's meal at 300. And no, we don't talk about calories. But bottom line is it comes down to calories. What I don't understand is why 5.5 syns? Where are those 5.5 syns? I know I'm querying this.
If it's the same fat and less sugar,
Yeah.
more fibre
Yeah.
in the Kirsty.
I know I'm querying this quite a bit lately, and I think it's because I have been at Target for a long time and I'm starting to look more into the ingredients of what I eat. I would not eat the Kirsty one free. If I was going to eat the Kirsty one, I'd count 5.5 syns. It is 5.5 syns. I'm not encouraging anybody to disregard that. I don't like it when people come on and they say 2 tablespoons of sweetener. I'm not going to count it. I've always lost weight using sweetener. If Slimming will say you count it, you count it. For me, I'm an all or nothing type person. You know how I am. You've watched my channel presumably for quite a while now, or at least more than once. If pasta in sauce, if mug shots, cup shots, whatever, naked noodles, I've got syns, I'll count them, even though I'm at Target. And I'll tell you why I'll do it, because that's what keeps me at Target. So I'm not encouraging anybody to say disregard the sin count on the Kirsty's. I'm just querying in my own head, how does it work? How does it work? I know you go to group and that's where the magic starts, but how does it work? Anyway, I don't need to know, I just need to do it, and that's what I'm going to do. But Joe was really curious about that this week. So let's shift to my results. What result did I get? Well, I'm going to share my week with you. I was, to all intents and purposes, with a little exception, 100% bang on plan. It's the way I live now, and it's the way I love to live. I had 15 syns every day this week. I had 4.5 healthy extras every day this week. That's 2.5 A's, 2 B's, because that's working for me. I'm not going to push it up to 3 healthy extra A's. I'm going to hold at this and see where it takes me. I did that this week, and what I would have liked this week, if I'm honest, what I would have liked, what I was aiming for this week, was a 1/2 to a 1.5 pound gain, because I like to be between 8 stone 11 and 8 stone 12. I'm currently 8 stone 10.5. Right. So I made a decision this week. We were in town on Thursday, and it was Joe's birthday. We went and bought a full-size drum kit, which we had them put together and tune, and we had all the stands, and we had the stool, and we had the drumsticks, and we had all these drums and cymbals, and I don't know what you call them, hi-hats or whatever. And then we had a bit of a dilemma. We've got to get this home. So what do? You go to Costa and you have a think about it. So I had to think about it over 2 cortados, which is 11 syns. On top of my 15 syns on Thursday, I had 11 syns. We sorted it out, we got the drum kit home, everything's fine. When we went out yesterday morning, we met Joe's dad, we went shopping, we went for a coffee, and I chose to have another cortado, an extra 5.5 syns, over and above my 15, not included. So that gave me an extra 16.5 syns. I'm thinking, logically in my head, that's going to give me a gain. I know how fine-tuned my weight is now, that's going to give me a gain. So I was comfortable with that, and I said to Joe when we were going to group this morning, I can feel it, but I think I was feeling it in my head. I'm going for a 1.5 pound gain today, and that'll be great because I'll be sitting at 8 stone 12, which is where I like to be. Went to group, had a chat, got on the scales, maintained. Now I'm not unhappy with that. I'm perfectly happy with being 8 stone 10.5. I really am. But it just shows me, you know, as fine-tuned as being at target is, you can have a week where you are 100% on plan and you don't have the cortados, you get a weight gain. It's not something that I am able to manipulate with any certainty, because the human body is a fickle thing. And on a week when you don't expect it, you think you've had the perfect week, like the lovely lady sitting next to me today who got a 2 stone award last week and said, I did exactly the same thing again because I lost 2.5 pounds last week. She gained 0.5 pound this week. So I'm learning that we have very little control over the fluid levels in our body. It's not fat we're playing with at this stage. It's not fat we're playing with a lot of the time, it's fluid. So I got to maintain. Forgot to give my mileage last week. Last week I walked 43.75 miles last week, 46.86 miles this week. So my mileage is pretty average. It ranges usually between kind of 43 to 53. That's not affecting my weight because that's really normal for me now. It would be really curious to see what happened if I had a week of doing no walking, but walking is such a part of my life now that I don't even think about it. So I gave you some headers, didn't I? What have I got next?
How many meetings can I attend?
Yeah, I put a comment on Beyond Authentic's video a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about eating disorders. Lisa had been sharing about the recurrence of an eating disorder. Many years ago I was diagnosed with binge eating disorder. I think it's something I had to eventually take seriously. I've been suffering for years and self-diagnosing, and it wasn't until I went for psychological help and was properly diagnosed that I acknowledged what a problem I had and was able to do something about it. A couple of things, big things. I went for a lot of counselling back then over many years, and it's not generally available on the NHS. It's down to where you live, what's available, and we paid for my counselling because it wasn't available on the NHS. Things have changed. It may be available where you live. But I went for a lot of counselling over a lot of years. I also went into a 12-step programme, and that's where I could share this because I'm talking about my anonymity, but that's where my connection with Overeaters Anonymous came from. It's only anonymous because you don't share anybody else's situations or divulge who else you meet there. I can talk about my going there. So I got a lot of help via those sources, and my binge eating disorder, my diagnosed binge eating disorder, I would say I'm now in recovery. It doesn't recur, it doesn't give me a lot of problems. I hear a lot of people talking about binge eating in quite a light-hearted way, and my heart went out to Lisa when I watched Beyond Authentic's video from a couple of weeks ago, because I could hear the pain in Lisa's voice that I used to experience. Binge eating disorder is not eating half a packet of biscuits and saying I've just had a binge. Binge eating disorder is not having 3 packets of crisps and 2 bars of chocolate, which I used to do on occasions. That's compulsive eating. That's my knowledge and my experience of compulsive eating. There's also compulsive overeating, which is when you do it continually, and it then creates a big weight problem.
Yeah, they all have Wikipedia definitions.
They all have
don't
Wikipedia definitions. You can ask.
If you want it,
Ask your Amazon Echo, it'll give you one. Have a look on have a look on Google. They've all got good definitions. Binge eating disorder is when your life is taken over totally, and you are swamped, and you are driven down by it, and you cannot fight your way out from under. It's like the difference between being, and I don't not meaning this lightly, but it's the difference between being on the beach and a big wave comes in with a surfer on top of it, and you might get splashed, and being on a beach and a tsunami comes in, and you are under. And it's making me shiver just talking about it. You are under, and there is no way up. And it can hit you as, I'm talking about it like a tsunami, and I'm not taking tsunamis lightly. Tsunamis are caused by earthquakes. They're not a wave. They're something caused by a devastating occurrence underneath. A binge eating disorder can often be kicked off by something traumatic happening in your life. But when you're under, as Lisa shared that she was around Christmas because of happenings or whatever, I don't need to know what caused Lisa's problem, but when you're under and you feel like you cannot push your way back to the surface, but you keep eating, and it's a devastating psychological problem. Now, I used to suffer from that, and I would say, thankfully today, I'm in recovery from that. I do still have a very obsessive head. I do still obsess about food. I will still buy food that I shouldn't buy, but today I buy it with no intention of eating it, and that might sound crackers. I bought a huge box of green and black chocolate with the intention of giving it away because I get pleasure from buying it. I used to get pleasure from buying it and compulsively consuming it. I still get a kick out of feeding other people. I still get a kick out of feeding. I'm a feeder. If you want to come and live with me, I can make you fat. I get a lot of pleasure out of buying good food. So I'll buy chocolates, I'll buy cakes, biscuits. In Sainsbury's last week, they had these lovely tins of Scotty Dog shortbread biscuits in the shape of a Scotty Dog, filled with little Scotty Dog biscuits. I bought some. I gave them away. I bought a big letterbox type tin full of McVitie's digestives, which I love. I gave them away. I can get the same buzz from doing that I used to get, which Joe calls instant gratification. I can get the same buzz from buying it and giving it away that I used to get from eating it. I'm in a safer place now, and I love to feed people. But if that binge eating disorder was ever to come back and I was rolled under that tsunami and couldn't find my way up, my life would be very different again. So I empathise with Lisa. But what I want to talk about very briefly is what I do when I feel things building up, or the knowledge I've got, the tools I've got. This plan is my rock. I stick to this plan 100% every day because it keeps me safe from those sort of things. I was a binge eater. I mean, diagnosed binge eater. I was a compulsive eater. I was a compulsive overeater. You don't get to 22 stone by having the odd biscuit or even the odd packet of biscuits. I was bulimic for over 20 years. I know what I'm talking about. I was greedy. I still am greedy. I have every kind of problem and impulsive behaviour and compulsion that is involved with food. I know what it feels like. I don't take any of it lightly. But to keep myself safe from falling back into all of that, or pigging out at Christmas and gaining £2 or £10, or saying, like a lady said in group today, I've saved 25 syns for today. Even though her week started this morning, she carries 25 syns over to have them the first day of the next week on top of blah, 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 because it doesn't count. Well, I'm here to tell you it does count, and that's where the dangers start. So what I do to stop myself falling back into the old habits and the old traps, I stick to plan 100%. I love it. It's not hard work. I'm not on a diet. I'm not deprived. That's my rock. That's my foundation. That's what keeps me safe. When people say, oh, somebody said it in group this morning, oh, I had a binge last night. I ate 3 packets of crisps and a bar of chocolate. That to me is not a binge. That's compulsive eating. That's what this plan stops me doing. Excuse me. Whatever I keep those tools in place, right, and those actions in place, I am safe from falling off this wagon. Now, something I'd mentioned to Lisa and Rufus, and I almost got it right. If I was struggling, it's Wednesday, say, I'm struggling, I want to compulsively eat, what can I do? The safest thing I can do for me personally to stay on plan is get my backside to a Slimming World meeting. Now, we all know we can only weigh in once a week. That's fair enough, you pay, you weigh. But if you want to go to a meeting every day, as long as you pay your $4.95, you can sit in that meeting. The leader will tell you you can't weigh in, but you can sit in the meeting. And I look at it this way. I pay £4.95 every week for my meeting, even though I'm at or below target. It's because paying for it helps me to appreciate it. If I get it for nothing, I treat it like shit. And I'll tell you that because I've done it and it's true. So I pay to go. I'm not judging anybody else. I'm doing what I need to do to stay sane. If I was struggling and it was Wednesday, I would get my backside to a Slimming World meeting and I would sit in image therapy, because £4.95 for image therapy is a hell of a lot less than 20 quid for a takeaway. You can do that. So if you feel like that, consider that as another tool. Right. Last thing I'm going to say before I go, and it was something Naomi's, we had a really good image therapy this morning. Something Naomi said at the end. She said, right, new week. Focus on free food, 1/3 speed. And it was like, bang, it hit me. Focus on free food, 1/3 speed. I am aware that most of the fruit and veg I eat is speed food because they're the things I like. So maybe if I want to change my plan up a bit this week, I need to add a little more free food in. But yeah, it's not all about speed food. Speed food will not speed up your metabolism. It will aid your weight loss if you replace 1/3 of your free food with your speed food. And I think that's the message I needed to hear this week. It's really important. That is plan. Somebody in group said, I only had 2 syns every day this week. I'm really on plan. And me and the lady next to me looked at each other and went, you're really not. 5 to 15. Remember, what works for this plan is helping you to stay healthy with the fibre and the calcium, keeping your treats and pleasurable things in moderation, 5 to 15 syns, not 2. Drop it to 2 too often and you will find yourself feeling deprived. That's why they say 5 to 15. Anyway, I'm preaching. I need to hear these things every week because I need to stay sane. I don't just need to stay slim, I need to stay away from the behaviours I used to practice every day that got me to 22 stone. And even practicing those behaviours again and only getting back up to 12 stone would be devastating for me. I'm not doing it. I'm staying at a healthy BMI, I'm staying at a healthy weight because I like living this way. I like making these vlogs and I love the lovely comments I get and the appreciation. So I want to thank everybody who's commented again this week and thank my new subscribers because I noticed my subscriber figures have gone up. Right, that's my week. Loving it and living it, and I'll be back next Saturday. Have a good one. Bye.